like the storytelling is like my main passion. Like I just love telling stories. That's partly why I like to waffle on too much whenever I talk. It's it's like telling stories is key to life essentially, because I can't remember who said it, but like I have it on my Instagram bio. What have I written? I want to get this right. What did I write? It's because I had this quote and I think it's important. I said, despite the fantastical, fiction is a window to truths. So you can read a story and it doesn't matter how fictitious this story is, it will always have some truth embedded in it. So I've always like, okay, so telling stories, especially archetypal stories, really old stories, that's why they resonate with so many people around the world and have done for thousands of years, is because they hold truth in them, and that's why I'm drawn to storytelling above almost everything else, because I think it's actually really important.
Welcome to Dino Park Media. My name is Samuel, and today I have a very special guest with us today. We have the one and only Jack Anthony Ewins from a lot of places. He's on YouTube with Terrordome 3000, does a lot of stuff on there, but then also what you may know him but not know him from is actually the Dinosaur Protection Group website, as well as Mizrani Global, and different things that have been used to actually promote the different movies, the Jurassic World movies over the past few years. Jack, you want to go ahead and just say hi?
Hello. Hope everyone's doing okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I hope everybody's doing well too. But I mean, hey, they're listening to Jack Anthony Ewins. So it's got to be good today. But today we are going to be going a little bit more into your life, a little bit more of like how you got to be able to do these different crazy, awesome opportunities that you've been able to do over the past few years. But before we get too far into it, there's a first question I love to ask everyone before we get too far is, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Yeah, I mean, I've got two answers.
Okay.
Because on each given day, it switches.
Okay. Well, let's have both of them.
So today, my favorite dinosaur is the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Hey,
which
nice.
I know it's one would say it's the box standard answer, but it was the T-Rex that I got as a toy before I'd even saw Jurassic Park. I've got the same little tiny red T-Rex right in front of me right now. This little rubber red, standing up straight,
nice.
Standing on its tail, T-Rex. And when I was a kid, I was obsessed with this rubber toy. And then I saw Jurassic Park and saw that T-Rex, and I was like, okay, well, I love this dinosaur. And I think it's just it's not only like the symbol of the Jurassic franchise, but it's there for a reason, because it's like the dinosaur that encompasses just the name dinosaur and what they represent and everything. It's the perfect symbol of dinosaurs in general.
Absolutely.
And I think it's because it's one that was so late in the Cretaceous period, like right up until they went extinct, and we know so much about the dinosaur compared to many other dinosaurs. It's fascinating, I think, because I know we don't know a lot about dinosaurs, but that one we particularly know a bit more about compared to other ones that we've discovered. And I say we, human species. I haven't done any particular discovering of T-Rex information.
What? You don't just go out and randomly dig up dinosaur bones just on your own time?
There is a beach near where I live where you can go down the beach and there's like fossils just littered across the beach because the sea washes this cliff away and it all
that's
exposes
pretty awesome,
stuff.
actually.
It is, yeah. I can't remember the name of it though. It's not the Jurassic Coast. That's somewhere else. But anyway, it's besides the point.
Wait. There's an actual place in the UK called the Jurassic Coast?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's near the south somewhere, if I've got my geography correct.
That's so
which
cool.
The same thing happens. So you can go onto the beach and you'll find like ammonites and trilobites. They all just like wash. They're on the beach. They're really easy to find.
That's amazing.
And then on another day, my favourite dinosaur would be the Baryonyx.
Hey, okay. I haven't heard that one yet.
Just because it's patriotic. It's British. Good old British dinosaur.
Nice. Got to represent your country, man. You got to go full on British. Yes, the UK baryonyx. That's what I want to represent.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also a very
creature.
unique. Yeah, it's very unique. Just a unique dinosaur. You know, like like. What got you into the baryonyx? Purely just because like it's the UK dinosaur, or because like because it does look really cool too. Was there something personally memorable about it for you?
In the Natural History Museum in London, they've got like this mock-up of a skeleton of a baryonyx on the wall, and they are bigger than you expect. Like, and this thing's on the wall, and I'm like, it's huge, this thing, and it's the crocodilian face, and it's the fact that it's got these huge claws on its front arms to like grab fish and all this sort of stuff. When I was a kid, there was, Jurassic Park 3 came out, and the Spinosaurus was in it, and I liked the Spinosaurus, and I had a little Spinosaurus toy, and which I've still got somewhere in the house, and I was looking at it and I was like, if that didn't have the sail on this toy, that would make a neat little baryonyx toy. And there's just something about it, the name, like the name Onyx in it with the X in it and stuff. I just don't. There's just something about it that was alluring me to it. And then when I got a little bit older and I was reading my dinosaur books and I saw that it was from the UK, I was like, well, that solidifies it. So
there you go.
Obviously, the UK. Back when Baryonyx was roaming the Earth wasn't the UK, but the soil that ended up here, Right. But if you ask a patriotic person from the US, the United States has always been. I'm just kidding. No, that's not the case at all.
Well,
you've got the T-Rex, so you know.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, we do get to claim that one, and a few other actually. We got plenty that we get to claim.
So on any given day, I say it's the T-Rex. If I'm feeling patriotic, I say the Baryonyx.
That's amazing, though. So like a follow-up question then. When it comes to Camp Cretaceous, were you excited to see that there was the Baryonyx trio?
I'm going to be brutal here.
Yeah.
And say yes, and then no after I saw the episodes.
So it was like you were anticipating something great, but it
I loved the Baryonyx in Fallen Kingdom. I know this, like, some people don't like the design of it, but I love the design of it because it looks so old school. Like, it looks like a dinosaur that shouldn't be in a modern dinosaur movie.
That's true.
I actually like that. I like the fact that it looks like this crocodilian thing, and it looks like an old clone. Like, I'll say this quite a lot in interviews, but like whenever I bring up an opinion of mine, obviously I've worked on official Jurassic stuff, and I'm still working on official Jurassic stuff as of this date. Whenever I say something like this is an opinion of mine not endorsed by Universal, so it's not official canon. But
Gotcha.
The way, in my personal head canon, that Baryonyx that comes through the pipe and the ones we see in Fallen Kingdom, they're from Sauna. They're like old school InGen clones that have like been around for some years. And,
I mean, that Baryonyx in Fallen Kingdom is thick with 2 C's. You know what I'm saying? Like that thing. That thing's got big hips. You know, and it looks like a thick torpedo. Like it's big.
I just love the blue design on them, or the ones in Fallen Kingdom, but the ones in Camp Cretaceous, I didn't, because it felt to me like they gave them so much intelligence to the point where I started to think, hang on a second, this feels like they're substituting velociraptors for the Baryonyx because they don't have any velociraptors to play with, so they're just putting Baryonyx in their place and making them act like raptors. You know, the whole pack group, they're sleeping together, they care about one, they're all emotional, like one of them dies and they get like emotional. I'm like, okay, the designs are cool, but no, the behavior is completely off for me. So
right, they did try to kind of anthropomorphize him a little bit in order to actually make him that much more relatable, you know, and like make people care about him. And I think that's one of my main gripes about Camp Cretaceous in general is the idea that the series is so tailor-made in order to make people so tailor-made to kids, and yet they do add some darker aspects in order to try to make people more pleased, but there's just some things that are just a little bit beyond reasoning. I'll be completely honest here, and I'm sorry, Universal, but I'm not actually a fan of the show. Like, it's not aimed at me, its target audience are kids, but it is kind of aimed at my demographic, which is people who care about canon. Yes.
Because it's supposedly meant to be hard canon in air quotes. You can't see I'm doing this, but air quotes. Supposedly meant to be hard canon. And if that's the case, there's so much wrong in the show that it's just, my brain melts. So I've just taken a step back. I'm like, if you enjoy Camp Cretaceous, you can enjoy it. But there is so much wrong with that show, and there is so many cool ideas in there that I think they could have that it's a shame that it's in Camp Cretaceous, some of these ideas, but it's not for me. And in my own personal canon of Jurassic, I don't consider it as part of the canon. Although, when we work on Jurassic, I have to respect it, so I'm not like gonna just retcon it out or anything like that, because I'd be fired. So it's it's like I have to respect it and be like, okay, it's that sort of thing.
I'm with you on that one. And definitely not as much as you are, because you have so much canon that you need to balance, being a person that works officially on Universal's IP, Jurassic World, and all the canon that goes along with that. Like, you're a person that's kind of like You've got to have the encyclopedia in your head. So, like, I definitely can't fully understand the brain meltiness that you have going on with you, but I can definitely understand. I can
give you an example, which you'll probably
go for it.
Okay, so this is going to be me going after Camp Cretaceous for 10 minutes. So, in season 1, right?
Yeah.
The kids leave the Parasaur Lagoon with the bioluminescence. They end up at the Mosasaur Lagoon, right? Mm-hmm. They show the hotels are there. Mm-hmm. The camera spins around. There's no Main Street. It's gone. There's no Main Street whatsoever. There's just jungle, and there's the Mosasaur arena. Yeah. Where's Main Street? Where is Main Street?
It's in season 2. Right off of Main Street, right?
It's on Main Street. Like, the Mosasaur Lagoon is connected to Main Street.
Yeah.
So my point is that in the time frame, if you work it out in the timeline of when these events are happening, they're meant to be at the Mosasaur Lagoon at the exact same time people are cleaning up pteranodons that have been tranquilized and dimorphodons on Main Street. There's meant to be crowds being moved to the hotels. But the animators, and I know it's not a budget thing because they have Main Street in season 2, so they already have made this prop. They didn't want people to question it, so they just don't have it in there. I mean, that's kind of speculation that I'm saying that they didn't want that to happen. I don't know the actual reasons Main Street's not there. But for me, I'm like, this is the map in Fallen Kingdom all over again. Like, stop doing this. Like, this is not right. And the filmmakers acknowledged that the map in Fallen Kingdom was a mistake. So I'm like, okay, I can let that slide. You've acknowledged that's a mistake. That's fine. Okay. But Camp Cretaceous keeps doing things like that. Where I'm like, okay, well, if this is meant to be hard canon, you have to write around the events that you're actually working with. You can't just make Main Street just disappear. Like, it makes no sense. So that's one example of many that I could bring up. But it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I honestly appreciate you kind of like providing a little bit of a perspective on that, because I think that there's a lot of people out there, myself included, that feel like, Camp Cretaceous we're thankful to have it, It's not like we're mad about it. It's just the idea that we're thankful to have it. It's just that it's just not exactly what we were hoping for. And so we don't want to automatically dog it, because we don't want Universal to then just go like, this Jurassic World thing didn't work out, so kill every single future project. Like, no, we don't want that. But at the same time, like, we want to be able to just, provide our criticism in a way that, like, hopefully will be heard, because we want some stuff that will be better in the future.
Well, for me, it's like, if they're trying to build this world to be an everlasting thing, it's always good to treat it as if it is like an actual real world. So you have to take into consideration all what's at play. Now, some people would argue that actually can limit some of the writers and stuff, but it's like, that makes the game more fun, in my opinion, to be like, okay, we've got this set of events happening. These set of events happened or are going to happen in Fallen Kingdom. Like, how can we write a story around this that's compelling and all that sort of stuff? That's the challenge. Whereas if they go, we'll just do whatever we want, it doesn't really matter about everything else. I hope that's not the mindset they have, but that's how it comes across when I see all these mistakes. And I want things to be everlasting as much as possible, because I can quite easily see things like Camp Cretaceous dying off quite easily if they keep doing this over and over again, because people will catch on, especially as they get older. So at the moment for me, like, I look at Camp Cretaceous in the same sort of light as the Jurassic Park Tops comics that came out in the 90s. Like, they're fun. It's a fun what if story. It's stupid and crazy in parts, and those moments make it not fit with the movies that they've set up. But they've got the same sort of characters. That, you know, it's that sort of thing. It's like a comic book you pick up and read, and then you put it down. You go, okay, well, I'm going to watch The Lost World now, and I don't care about the comics, because the movies are prime. So that's the way I feel about Camp Cretaceous, and it's not to say cancel the show or anything like that. It's just to be like, yeah, it's like it could be more interesting even for younger audiences.
Yeah, I hear you. I completely agree with you, man. That a good hot take. There you go. Because, like, apparently, yes, hot takes definitely are something that a lot of people like to have in the Jurassic franchise. But speaking of the Jurassic franchise, let's because we're going to be diving into it deeply. But I mean, obviously, going back to you specifically, Jack. There's you had to have a beginning with the Jurassic Park franchise at some point. Like, what was your earliest memory or the first thing that really got you into Jurassic Park? Like, because everybody has usually that one memory. Some people are like, I don't know, like, it just kind of happened, but they still have that one thing that they can latch onto, going like, but there's this one thing that really just got me interested in the Jurassic Park franchise that made me a fan for the rest of my life. But I mean, what about you, Jack? What was that one thing that really got you into Jurassic Park?
It's as simple as seeing the first film in the cinemas back in 1993. So as I mentioned previously, I have this little tiny rubber dinosaur T-Rex, which I had I remember having before seeing Jurassic Park. But I've said this story like a million times. Obviously, my memory gets, as you get older, it gets more and more faded. But I remember seeing the T-Rex roar into the mirror as the Jeep is being chased, and I remember being in the seat and watching it on the big screen, and my nan and granddad had taken my sister my nan had taken my sister to a play park because she was too young to see the film, and my mum took me to go see the film. And all I remember is looking up at this big screen, seeing this T-Rex roar into the mirror, and after that I was obsessed, and then I got it on VHS when it came out, and then just watched that VHS over and over and over again, and played with the Kenner toys, did all that sort of stuff. You've heard this story from fans a million times. That's what I did. I didn't have many of the comics, but I played with all the toys. Instead of what's funny is the toys, I would never recreate the actual movies that we had. I would always play a sequel. Like, I'd always get my toys and make Jurassic Park 4 or Jurassic Park 3 before that one came out. Like, I'd always try and do the next chapter because I was obsessed with that, like continuing the world. So, yeah. So that's my introduction, was the first film in the cinema.
Which is amazing. And so how old were you when you first saw that movie, by the way?
4.
4 years old.
Yeah, it must have been, I was born in December of 88. So December 89, 90, 91, 92. Yeah, I was 4.
That's amazing, dude. Oh man, like I don't get to talk to too many people sometimes that actually get to see the movie in theaters. I think there's only a handful of people that I actually get to talk to that actually get to see it in theaters, and so, man, that would be like when it first came out, right?
Yeah, I mean, bear in mind, like I said, I only remember the T-Rex jaws roaring at the mirror. I don't remember anything else. I can't remember if I was scared during the kitchen sequence or the main road attack or anything. All I remember is that the jaws coming towards the mirror, and that's it.
Well, right, but I mean, at the same point, at the same time, you get to say that you were actually one of the first people to see the movie, just in general, and then. However many years later, we're over 25 years later, almost 30, and we're going on to, millions, tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of people have seen the movie by now, and you were one of the first. It's just really cool in my mind to think that. But then also, you were talking about how you wanted to create sequels, and so you've always had the idea, or had it in you in order to want to kind of expand the canon. Is that right? It's always been in you to create stories.
Yeah, storytelling is like my main passion. Like, I just love telling stories. That's partly why I like to waffle on too much whenever I talk. It's like telling stories is key to life essentially, because I can't remember who said it, but like I have it on my Instagram bio. What have I written? I want to get this right. What did I write? It's because I heard this quote and I think it's important. I said, despite the fantastical, fiction is a window to truths. So you can read a story, and it doesn't matter how fictitious this story is, it will always have some truth embedded in it. So I've always like, okay, so telling stories, especially archetypal stories, really old stories, that's why they resonate with so many people around the world, and have done for thousands of years, is because they hold truth in them, and that's why I'm drawn to storytelling above almost everything else, because I think it's really important. So the whole continuing on the sequels when I'm a kid playing with the toys is part of that. I didn't know it at the time, but then when you come to the canon, writing the canon of Jurassic and all my other works that I'm working on, especially original works, it all comes down to that. It's like trying to capture truth somewhere in there. It's kind of pretentious, that sounds, but that is the truth.
It doesn't sound pretentious at all. It sounds like somebody who wants to be able to tell a story in order for it to mean something, to actually mean something to somebody. Because there are plenty of examples of people just telling stories in order to be able to, make a paycheck or anything like that. I don't want to throw Michael Bay under the bus, but if you look at the last couple Transformers movies, what is actually being told there that's actually something that's going to resonate with people deeply? Like, I don't know. Like, but when you look at,
I haven't even seen the last one, so I'm like, I don't even know.
Yeah, you might just go ahead and save yourself the grief. But like the idea that it comes around to, like, you look at other stories that are meaningful to people. You look at another Spielberg movie, Schindler's List. That was something that resonated deeply. Not only does it tell the development of a character and the moral of that story, but then it tells a moral to the rest of the audience about the importance of having true morals, of looking after other people. And so stories are extremely important. So that's just, it doesn't sound pretentious at all. It sounds like something that you want to truly make a difference.
Yeah, and to me, like, my wife hears this all the time. To me, it's not about even how successful something is. It's like, it's just as long as I like to work on many different things, and for me, it's always seeing a project through. It's not about seeing how successful it is. It's just seeing if I can actually achieve it, but in the face of, for lack of a better word, and one to encompass it all, life. Like, there's a lot going on in life all the time. It's like, can I do this in amongst everything else? Like, can I actually weave this project in amongst everything else and hold everything together? Because I'm a great admirer of the idea that taking responsibility and taking as much responsibility on as possible that you can manage, it actually makes you happier in life. Obviously you don't want to overburden yourself with like so many projects that you just drown in them. That's not what I mean. It's like finding a healthy balance of going, okay, I want to have a baby at the same time I'm making a animated cartoon series online. At the same time, I'm working on Jurassic behind the scenes. At the same time, I'm making videos for my YouTube channel. At the same time, I'm going to work to pay the mortgage. Like, that sort of thing. It's like, okay, try and weave all that together to try and live your life. And that's, I found that since doing that, I've actually become a much happier person. So I always say that to people, like, try and get as much responsibility as possible, because it's good. It's actually healthy.
To really be accomplishing something, because purpose is extremely important and integral to every human being.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that there's a lot of people that think they have the answer, but then there's just a lot to consider. But you did talk about, though, how you are working behind the scenes on Jurassic World right now. But I think a lot of people that are coming to this interview, and they do know the name Jack Anthony Ewins, they probably recognize you from the fact that you've worked on the Dinosaur Protection Group and then also Mizrahi Global and other things. And so a question that they might have, a person that is working hard, that is making all this stuff happen. How did you even get involved with these different opportunities within the Jurassic World franchise as a whole. How did you specifically get invited to become a part of the Jurassic World family?
Do you want the long story or do you want the short story?
The one that best serves the history of what you did.
Okay, all right. So, I don't know. I'm trying to edit in my head now. So, I've just said, like, I grew up with Jurassic ever since I was 4. Loved it. I was obsessed with it ever since I was a kid. It died off kind of when I was a teenager a bit, because other things came into life where I was like, oh, I'm at school and other interests come along. But Jurassic was always there. I didn't bin my action figures. I didn't get rid of the DVDs. I did watch the films regularly each year and all that sort of jazz. And then the lull between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World came about. And that just went on and on and on and on. And I would always check up on what's going on various websites. Then we get to 2013, and Colin Trevorrow is announced as the director of Jurassic World. And at the same time that's happening, I'm listening to a Jurassic Park podcast at the time called Jurassic Cast, which was made by a guy called Sam Phillips, who had broken his leg. And while he was watching Jurassic Park when he broke his leg, he started a podcast about it. And it was only like 5 or 6 episodes in. Like, it was really like short podcast, brand new, but I was listening to it because I liking podcasts at the time, and I was like, is there any Jurassic Park podcasts out there? And there was really only him at the time. And so I started listening to that. And then one night I was working at a bar because I lived in London at the time. I was working in this bar. It was closing hours. We had lock-in, and I got a bit tiddly. I had a few too many drinks, and for a laugh I thought to myself, oh, what if I just like message the director, the newly announced director, to come on this podcast with me, because I'd been invited on Sam's podcast for an interview because he'd watched my Jurassic Park collection video, which I'd uploaded on YouTube after my mum got all my toys out from the attic when I was still living in London. And I'd made this YouTube video where I got all my dinosaur toys out, all my Jurassic Park toys, and I went through them all with my video camera, explaining why this one's missing a tail, and started telling stories about like the toys and why, and all the collection I had, which is still on my old YouTube channel. Sam had seen that. He wanted me to come on, so I said I was coming on. I tweeted Colin when I was drunk at this bar, and I said, do you want to come on this podcast with me? We won't talk spoilers. I just want to talk about like your relationship to Jurassic and why you wanted to take on this job. He said yes, and I was like, what? Like, I didn't like, oh my god. So and he messaged back like pretty quickly after I sent the message as well. Like, he followed me on Twitter and then DM'd me this message.
Wow.
So I went back to Sam and I went, by the way, I'm bringing the director of the new film on, and I sent him the messages, and he was like, okay, wow. And so we did the interview with Colin, which, bear in mind, he hadn't done any interview with anyone else at that time. No magazines, no radio, no TV, nothing. He came to the fans first, even though we asked him, but like, he agreed to do the first interview with us. So that shows you how much he appreciates the fan base. Yes. We had the interview. It was quite successful. Went around, all the media and stuff, because he'd dropped some information in there or whatever, and that's still on my old YouTube channel, that whole interview, which I haven't actually listened to in a while. It might be interesting to go back and hear what he said. But a guy called Tim, who lives in Australia, heard the podcast, looked me up, saw that I did digital artwork, wanted me to work on this book he was working on. We got friendly. He was like, I'm a big Jurassic fan, this, that, and the other. So we became friends. Then in early 2014, so Jurassic World's going into filming, or had been filming, and the name Patel got leaked out online, which was the original name for Masrani. Simon Masrani's character, I believe he was originally called Simon Patel. I think Simon was still his first name. That leaked out online, and Tim thought, for a laugh, he came to me and he was like, Jack, do you want to, for a laugh, like make a website that's like Patel's corporation's website, and we can talk about, like, we can just have some fun with it, and that can also get us, to take a break from this digital artwork project and all that sort of stuff. So I said yes, and then we worked on this website. And then I said to Tim, I was like, you know what, we shouldn't tell anyone we've worked on this, and we should just put it up online and then just see what happens. So we did that. It ran through the fandom, people asking, well, who's behind this? Like, this looks legit. And IGN and Colin got wind of it. I think Colin may have got wind of it through IGN. I don't quite know, but either way, IGN ran a news piece about it, and then Colin caught wind of it. And then, I kid you not, I was, at the time, I changed jobs in London. I was working in a cinema, and that day I just asked the manager, because there was one of the cinemas in London that hosted worldwide premieres. So I was like asking, I was like, oh, are we going to have the premiere for Jurassic Park 4? And he was like, oh, I'd have to email and find out if we are. And I was like, oh, cool, okay. If you could do that, it'd be really cool, because I'd love to be there for that event, because I'm a huge Jurassic fan. He's like, okay. And then I went back to the podium to rip tickets to let people into the cinema, and my phone vibrated in my pocket, and I had a little gap in between people, so I just had a quick look, and it was an email from Universal saying, do you want to make Patel Corp real? I was like,
wow.
So that's how I got into Jurassic. So it's like, it's this right place, right time, taking risks, meeting fans, and just saying yes to some opportunities happened. Like, it's not something you could just replicate, because I never went to university, I never got a higher education or anything like that, but I've always sort of been very proactive with doing stuff. And someone, I can't remember who in the past, once described me as being autodidactic. So I like to learn stuff on my own and try and do stuff, try and teach myself how to do stuff. So that's how that all came about, and I like to think that it was just partly that, like me being autodidactic, the right place, right time thing, and yeah, taking the right opportunities when they come knocking. So
really cool. I mean, dude, that is just such a cool story to really show that that fans are being valued by by Universal, and especially because Colin's taking the time out of his schedule in order to do the first interview with anybody, specifically about Jurassic on a fan's podcast is amazing. And then on top of that, in order to be able to immediately know Jack Anthony Ewins, he's the person that he's the person that we want to get in order to, along with Tim, of course, in order to get going for this for Masrani Global. And it's just wow. It shows that they value the fandom.
Yeah, and obviously Colin would have heard my name before from the interview, so he knew about me before the Patel stuff. But I think they were so impressed. Universal said they had two choices. They could either tell us to take down the website, or they could hire us. And they were the two options. And Colin was like, "No, I know this person. Hire them, get them on board, get the fans involved, because they know a lot about this stuff, and who better to sort of fill out the gaps between the movies than the fans themselves." Now, saying that puts us on a huge pedestal, but we didn't feel like we were on a pedestal at the time. We were like, oh my god, we've got such a huge responsibility. We've got all this stuff, we've got to balance, we've got to really do our research as much as possible. And luckily me and Tim are both writers, so we know how to sort of write our way around things, or use clever wording to sort of make sure no toes get stood on. And obviously we're not perfect, we have made mistakes and stuff, but yeah, it's one of those things where I, as what I'm doing right now, we like to engage with the fandom. Tim's a little bit more quiet than I am, but I like to engage with the fandom a lot, because then I hear what the ideas are, what's going on, what people are questioning about, and then that can be reflected in what we do going forward. And also I can be a good informant to Colin and the other producers and stuff, to be like, hey, you know what, they're thinking about this, the fandom, you might want to address it.
Absolutely. So
that sort of thing.
Dude, it's just it's an incredible story of seeing fans being recognized, and of course they chose the right people. It's not like they just chose random people, oh, this random Tim dude, this random Jack dude, yeah, I guess it'll work. No, obviously they chose people that they trusted, but so it's just really cool to see all that valued. But obviously, when it comes around to doing stuff, so the projects that you worked on for Universal thus far have been Masrani Global, Dinosaur Protection Group, and Backdoor. Is that correct?
So, to give you the chronological order, Masrani Global, and then the Backdoor, the terminal for Masrani Global, came out when the Blu-ray for Jurassic World was coming out. So it wasn't out when the film came out. When the Blu-ray was being marketed, we did the Backdoor. The Backdoor was originally actually meant to come out with Masrani Global, but Universal went, we're not going to do that whole side of the website, so we actually canned it, but we kept it in our archives. And then when they came to do the Blu-ray, they were like, well, hang on a second, we've got a bit more budget here to work with on marketing. Do you want to do the Backdoor now? So we're like, yes. And that was
amazing.
Our opportunity to give the fandom, finally, even though it's not, well, it has been in printed media now, but for years I've been hearing the fans complain there's no official timeline to sort of lay out when the events happen. So that was a good opportunity to do that. And then Fallen Kingdom, we had the Dinosaur Protection Group, which also had their own social media, like Twitters and stuff like that, which have other little extra bits on them. And Extinction Now, which was Extinction Now. I believe the website for Extinction Now is actually gone because Universal didn't pay. Wait, is it still up? Let me double check. Sorry, let me just see. Extinction Now. I will find out. Is it extinctionnow.com? I believe they didn't pay to renew their site, so yeah, I think it's been taken down. Yeah, but the Twitter for the the official website, is it back up? Yeah, no, they haven't updated it, unfortunately. The official Twitter for Extinction Now is still there, and that's more important really, because there's more information on it than the movie. And that was what included the San Diego footage. If you've seen that,
was amazing. Yes, that was so amazing, and it's such a valuable drop of info. It felt like, I think that was the moment that I realized Universal's truly is dedicated to expanding not only Jurassic World but also the Jurassic Park, the original trilogy's lore as well, which is extremely important to me particularly. I really enjoyed Jurassic World. Specifically the first one. The first one is actually my second favorite film out of the franchise, but I want to see that original trilogy done justice. And when the San Diego footage, found footage stuff was posted, I was like, that's exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing. It's like it's Manuel who's on our team. He created that and brought it to us and was like, what do you think we could do with this? And we were just flabbergasted. We were like, whoa, this is amazing. So we sent it to Colin. He was like, put it up straight away. This is great. Yeah, this is awesome. This works. This is all great for the campaign, for Extinction Now and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, there's, what can I don't want to say anything I shouldn't here, but
true, yeah.
The trilogy, the new trilogy of films has been sort of a. Okay, if you can imagine the Jurassic Park trilogy, right? So the first 3 movies as an arrow pointing to the right, but like a V, like a turned on its side V facing to the right. And you've got obviously the original film is at the wide bit and Jurassic Park 3 is at the thin bit. Then you invert that the other way for the Jurassic World trilogy. So Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and then Dominion. And the wideness of those 2 V's where they meet in the middle, the wideness parts is how relevant they are to the previous trilogy. Does that make sense?
My brain exploded for a second.
Because you said you've always wanted these new films to acknowledge the previous 3, do them justice. That's how they've planned it. Jurassic World doesn't really talk about the previous 3 films that much. There's a lot of subtle stuff in there for it, but they don't mention sauna or anything like that. They try and keep it to refresh the franchise. They're starting from a new point. Dominion is going to be a celebration of the past, as well as obviously being set in a brand new world. Let's put it that way.
That is what I need to hear. Yes,
and that's what we've been building to. So ever since day one, all the that's why Masrani Global and the Backdoor didn't really touch upon past events until the back door did with the timeline and stuff. But Mazrani Global barely touched upon past events. Fallen Kingdom's marketing for us was pretty much, let's look at the past and talk about how these dinosaurs have been mistreated. So we use that as an opportunity to like unearth all InGen secrets, all that sort of stuff. Like not really go into the secrets, like kind of lay them out and go, you know, there's some vague language in there to let your imaginations run wild. But Dominion is a whole different kettle of fish. And I will admit, like, unfortunately, the coronavirus has kind of put a stick in the wheel in terms of like timing on everything. Like, there's still a lot of vagueness around like how the marketing's going to work. Because obviously we just had a big year delay, so it's like, okay, so I don't want to make any promises I can't keep. So all I'm saying is right now it's like everything's up in the air. There is loads of stuff happening, but it's like we just don't know when or exactly how it's going to fall into place. But things should hopefully fall into place pretty soon, hopefully.
Interesting. So does that mean that we might get a new website here soon?
I can't say anything about that.
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to be able to ask the question. But okay. Well, hey, that's all super enthralling to me, especially that little tidbit of info that you said. That Dominion will be a celebration of the past. That is exactly what I think so many long-term fans are excited for, because I don't know, like maybe with your conversations with Clayton Fioriti, because I mean I know that you've had plenty of conversations with him, you've had plenty of collabs with him on each one of your channels, so maybe you've had the conversation with him about like recognizing the rise in popularity of the Lost World specifically, you know, because like I know that the Lost World and JP3 were both lopped into the trash bin of the Jurassic franchise. People were just like, that the Jurassic trilogy doesn't mean anything. The first one was a classic, the other two don't mean anything. But then since Jurassic World's come out, it seems like Clayton and a few other influencers have really helped people understand just how good the Lost World really was in its own respect, and it's really gained popularity. And I think that there's a whole new wave of appreciation specifically for the Lost World, but then also there's been some long-term JP3 fans as well that just want to see Sorna be recognized again. And I think that we're really excited for that.
Yeah, well, obviously I caused some controversy with Sorna with the Dinosaur Protection Group content that we were writing.
Yes, yes.
But there was some specific reasons for why we were doing that. Namely, we had to kind of explain for Fallen Kingdom why Sorna is not going to... Why have the debate about saving dinosaurs if there are two islands?
Exactly.
And there is a plan for Sorna being the way it is, devoid of dinosaurs, as far as we know, in Fallen Kingdom. So it's like how to write around that. And I was reading the Lost World novel by Crichton, and that whole book, Malcolm's talking about how dinosaur behavior is going to lead to extinction on Site B and all this sort of stuff. So I was like, well, that's what we've got to talk about. We've got to go back to the source material and write how Sorna has been through a rough time. Some fans are not going to like this, but at the same time, we're setting up this world, and it's not like answers haven't been thought of, and that sort of thing. So I can't remember, there was a point I was going to get to, but I've completely forgotten it now because I just got excited about things to come.
Yeah, oh man, I know that contractually you are unable to talk about like the official stuff that's happening, but I mean, like, I appreciate the fact that if you are excited about the future and you're a person that's not only a long-term fan but also a person that knows what to expect, I think that makes a lot of other fans very excited for the future as well. So just knowing you're excited is a good little platform to start with when it comes to being for the rest of the fandom for being excited as well. But But man, I don't want to take too much time away from these other questions too, because I mean, you have tons. You have your hands in so many different things, and one of the things that we need to talk about is your specific YouTube channel, and also your development of the Dino Defenders Extreme web series. And so, when it comes to these different things, specifically YouTube. Getting involved with YouTube in the first place, you said that you had an old channel before, and then now you have the new one, Terrordome 3000. But then also you have Dino Defenders Extreme. What made you first decide to get into YouTube, and then eventually Dino Defenders Extreme?
So I got into YouTube back when I joined YouTube when it started, and it had like, instead of like the likes, dislike, it had the star system, and it didn't have any algorithm or anything like that. Like any video that became famous on YouTube was literally word of mouth, people sharing. Like it was just exactly how it should be. But it was before the monetization came in. I'm not against monetization, but the point is, it's like that's when ad revenue starts, and that's when you get adverts, and then you get the algorithm comes in and starts promoting particular videos, and then clickbait, and we snowball to where we are today. But old school YouTube was like, you just make videos for fun, and it was usually like dumb home movies, and you put them up online just for your friends to watch, and if people shared them around because they liked what you made, then fair enough. But that's what I used to do for a number of years, and my old channel then started to become like I said, I did my Jurassic Park collection video, and that blew up. So I was like, oh, people like Jurassic Park, and I love Jurassic Park, maybe I should talk about this more. And I even did like videos on there where I was talking about the 10 rules for Jurassic Park that they shouldn't break for Jurassic Park 4. And I went through like what the top 10 things, like don't shoot a dinosaur or you'll get killed, and all this sort of stuff. And then it ended on me doing a video where I watched that specific video and then talked about how wrong I was. So I was like, and then compared it to what we got with Jurassic World. But then I decided to make a new channel in end of 2015, 2016, around that time, because I realized that I was using a lot of copyrighted music and all this sort of stuff, and I was like, I can't monetize this channel, because that was at the time when you couldn't, if you had one video on your channel that was demonetized, your whole channel was demonetized. It wasn't at the time where you could actually pick specific videos to be like, oh, this one's monetized, this one's not, because it all came under the umbrella of your channel. And I went, well, I want to make a new channel, and plus it'll be a refreshing start, and I'll keep making the same sort of content, but this time I'll tailor it more to, like, I'll have my music, I'll do all this, that, and the other, so I can truly monetize the channel and have it all in the green. And that's what I did with Terrordome. And one of the things with Terrordome 3000 is I was watching lots of videos on YouTube, movie reviewers and stuff, and almost every single person on there was, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, because I've done it before as well, and I do every now and then, but everyone was doing videos where they were reviewing movies sat in front of their DVD collections and stuff, like, and all like toys on a shelf. And I was like, you know what? I want to make this different. I want to be set on a spaceship floating through space. So I like got some cardboard and I just made up this, and I'm a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh,
and a show,
yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, love that show. And also there's a show in the UK called Red Dwarf, which has all these like they're like, you can tell the sets are really cheaply made, and I was like, I'm gonna go down that route. And
that's wonderful.
And so like just homemade junk, and I'll talk about Jurassic and stuff, but it'll just be from this spaceship, and it won't make any sense that there's dinosaurs on the spaceship and this like biodome on the top and all this sort of stuff. And I believe the word Terrordome, if I've got my wording correct, means you're like trapped within the thing you love. I think that's what it is. It's the Terrordome. Like you're trapped within the very thing that you're obsessed with. So I was like, that's perfect, because that's what the channel basically is going to be. But then it like branched out to like gaming live streams and all that sort of stuff. And then I did a video called The Mysterious Island, the history of Jurassic Park 4, where I did this timeline that kind of summed up the years between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World, to try and capture that feeling that slog that we had as fans waiting for the fourth movie. And during that video editing, there's a section where I was talking about the Sayles script, and I do a summary of the John Sayles Jurassic Park 4 script, which I don't know if you've read that script.
I have not.
Okay, you should. It's fascinating. It's like it got leaked out online. I believe you can download it from Jurassic Outpost.
Okay.
And it's fascinating because I won't go on too much of a tangent, but like it's got a guy who trains, a guy called oh god, I'm forgetting his name now. Obviously it's not Owen. Oh my god, what's his name? Oh, I'll get it later. There's a guy who looks after 5 trained Deinonychus, and they have these like implants in them, and they've got like human DNA spliced in them or something. But there's also this baron who lives in a castle who keeps dinosaurs in cages in the basement, and I'm like, okay, you can see how Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World have like taken this script and gone, okay, this is a wacky script, because there's like moments in it where dinosaurs are parachuting down out of a plane to go stop these drug dealers or whatever. It's an insane script, but yeah, you can see how they're mining still from it for the newer films. But anyway, I did this section in this video, Mysterious Islands, where I talk about this script, and I did illustrations for each of like sort of sections of the script, and very rough drawings. But while I was doing that, I was like, you know what, I'd love to just tell a dinosaur story of my own device, and then just release it, like, because I want to tell stories. That's what I want to do. So why don't I just take something like, take Jurassic Park as an influence for it, the books by Michael Crichton, take those as inspiration, use it like, you know, like how you have a blank sheet of paper and you've got the paint brushes, okay? So the blank pieces of the paper that I'm using as a metaphor here are cloned dinosaurs in a facility, okay? That's my paper. We've seen it in Jurassic Park, we've seen it in other dinosaur media, but that's my paper I'm painting on. So what can I do with that concept that is totally different from what we've seen before? Because Jurassic holds this huge monopoly on the dinosaur media.
Yeah, absolutely.
It basically owns it, doesn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so I was thinking, okay, I'm not looking to make Dino Defenders super successful. You know, if that happens, it happens, like I said. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to crack a nut that I think some people think is unbreakable. I'm trying to crack it to be like, can I tell a story that involves dinosaurs and humans meeting again that we haven't seen before? That kind of thing. Like, can I tell a story that feels fresh and new, even though it visually looks like something you've seen like a million times? But is the story different enough? And also, to make a long story long, my wife challenged me to draw humans better, because I was drawing dinosaurs for years, but she was like, you're not, humans aren't too good. So I was like, oh, you know what, that's a challenge. So then I decided to make an animated series, Dino Defenders Extreme, where I had to draw the same characters in different scenarios and try and keep them consistent. And I used very exaggerated looking humans, like Disney-esque type humans, because I'm like, that's a good way of learning, because I appreciate Disney's humans in their like animated movies, because they're, especially ones like Tarzan and stuff, because it's like they're very exaggerated in their design, but the way they move and they hold themselves and the way they act and stuff, you look at them and you go, but I believe they're like real, the way they act, like they just seem like they are actually alive. Pinocchio is a good one as well. So that's what, like, visually I'm trying to go for. I'm like, I'm gonna do humans that way, so it looks very 90s, very cut from the cloth of the era I grew up in, but it's aimed at fans of Jurassic, the books and stuff, who are my age, who want something that's maybe a little bit more brutal, but not necessarily overtly brutal, because I'm not a fan of just like in your face violence.
Right, violence for the sake of violence.
Yeah, that doesn't really cut it for me. I want, like, if there's violence in the show, I want it to actually like hit, as in like whoa, okay, that actually means something. Rather
right.
than
Yes.
it's just
has weight.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we get to Dino Defenders Extreme from YouTube.
Which is a lot of fun. I was actually watching a little bit of it today in order to make sure that to make sure that I was up on it to have a conversation with you. And what episode are you on now, though? I think I watched a little bit of episode 3 today.
So I'm on episode 4 still.
Okay.
There was originally 6 episodes planned, but there's 5 now because I managed to condense some of episode 4 into episode 3. So I was like, okay, that's good, because there's always a cutting down period. But I'm on episode 4 right now. I would say I would have the episode done by now, but I decided to start a family, and that always...
Which is extremely amazing, and congratulations to you on the baby as well.
Thank you. There's... Talking about storytelling, there's nothing compares to having a baby. Like, honestly, it's everything. Like, it makes everything pale in comparison in life. But yeah. So episode 4, I knew I'm going to be weaving that into my life, raising a baby. So yeah, it's taking a longer time, but actually, it's giving me more time to reflect on the story and some innovation in the actual animation side of it. There's some... So, for example, I won't obviously say what it is, but someone's working on a 3D background. Like, they've completely made one of the sets of it in 3D. And I'm thinking, hang on, so what I can do now... Because you watch, like, old Disney films where they have, like, Beauty and the Beast, where they're, like, dancing in the ballroom, and the whole ballroom is a 3D animated environment, but the characters are 2D. I'm going to try and do that. So I'm like, okay, we're going to have a 3D environment, but the characters and the dinosaurs are going to be in 2D. And my mind's like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to definitely try and give it a go.
That's
we'll
amazing.
See how it works out.
I saw you post that on Instagram today, by the way, about like how you had that 3D background. Yeah, that was super cool. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, I thought it was all animated. I thought it was all 2D animation, but then... Yeah, now that you explain it, it's like, because like Beauty and the Beast is actually my wife's favorite movie, so like I'm a little well acquainted with it. We've watched it a couple times, and so like I know exactly what you're talking about with the 3D backdrops with the 2D foreground. Yeah, 100%. That will be really cool to see. That'll be amazing.
It's interesting because there's a lot of different styles I'm doing in Dino Defenders that people might not pick up on straight away. There's a shot in episode 2 where the character Rose is walking into Turner's office, and he's pouring a glass of liquid into a glass, and the glass and the liquid's real. That's me actually pouring liquid into a glass. What I'd done was I filmed the shot of my computer screen playing, and I had the glass and the camera set up so it looks like it's in the shot with the person, and then I poured it, and then I cropped that out and then added it into the animation. So there's actually some real elements in the show rather than just 2D animation. There's like loads of little moments like that where I'm actually mixing it up. And there's already some 3D animation in it because in the beginning of episode 3, Manuel, who worked on the Dinosaur Protection Group with us, he and Mazrani Global, he created some 3D cells for me, and he did the opening titles. Like, yeah, it's still is by being made by, even though it's predominantly myself, I'm still working with Tim and Manuel on the series, because Tim will go through the dialogue with me, and Manuel will help me every now and then with some 3D stuff. He's not the one actually making the environment though, that's someone else. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it's expanding. But my ultimate idea though for Dino Defenders is I'll make episode 5. When I finally get that finished, I'm actually going to combine all the episodes into one long movie and I'm gonna also add some extra scenes, which I've just recently decided on because I want to flesh out some characters a bit more in some of the earlier stages, and I also want to tweak some of the animation, some of the earlier stuff, because this is a whole learning process. I'm learning as I'm going, so I look back on episode 1 and I'm like, that frame needs to be redone. That is horrendous compared to what's being animated now. So it needs to match. But the ultimate goal, and I said this on my Discord group that I've got for Terrordome, I said that, like, imagine the episodes that are coming out now. They are basically they're still behind the scenes footage technically. You're not seeing the final product, because the final thing is the ultimate cut, which puts them all together. That is Dino Defenders Extreme, so that's the actual product when it's finished. So the episodes come out and you see like the story progress, but you're not still getting the final product until you get that one big version. So yeah,
dude,
we'll see how it goes.
That will be a lot of fun. That will be a lot of fun. And when you put the whole movie together, like I mean, I assume that would probably be post-pandemic. You know, you still have probably a little bit of time in order to make that happen. Is that correct?
Oh God, yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't even started on episode 5. I'm halfway through episode 4, so I've got a long time to go. It's going to be probably a few years before people see that, but
so hopefully,
we'll get there.
I mean, yeah, hopefully, you know, God willing, that's post-pandemic. But like, hopefully, like, would you be willing to like make a premiere date over in the UK, like where you just like bring the people in that were part of it, bring some of your friends and family in, and then just like rent out a theater to show that on?
You know what? That might be a really good idea. I haven't actually thought about that. That might actually be a really good idea. So I'll keep that in mind.
Dude, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, that's actually it is a really good idea. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, put that in the back pocket. But last question here for you though, Jack. And so people know you from your time on YouTube, Terrordome, 3000, and then obviously the subsequent Dino Defenders Extreme that's on your channel. But then also your work on the different promotional websites for the Jurassic World films. But what about you? And you talked about having a family now, but also like what are some of the personal interests or hobbies that you have other than Jurassic Park dinosaur stuff? What are some of the things that just are personally fun for you and that you have that you're involved with outside of the Jurassic Park circles?
I don't know. I think like outside of the Jurassic circles and what I do online, I do like watching. Well, when I relax, I like to watch like a lot of YouTube videos. I like watching stupid stuff. But I'm like Red Letter Media and stuff. I love their Best of the Worst series on YouTube. Is my favorite YouTube series out there. So nice. I like watching those. But they come out every now and then. But what I've actually started doing is I've started reading properly. Like I've gone, you know what? I want to get back into books. Like I've read a lot of Michael Crichton, I've read some other books here and there, but like I actually want to read more non-fiction books, like actually go into reading. So I've bought this huge pile of books that I want to get through, and I've just finished my 3rd one out of the pile recently.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing. So making my way through some of the more academic and intellectual side of books, because I want to expand my knowledge on certain things, just sort of have some more food for thought, so it can really help to inspire future projects and work. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been really interesting.
So when it comes to future projects, like do you see yourself branching outside of like dinosaur stuff and Jurassic Park stuff, or is that kind of like you hope to be able to go just even deeper into that kind of stuff, or is there like a different section of like, because you're a storyteller, do you plan on ever making other stories outside of the dinosaur realm in the future?
It's funny you say that, because not too long ago on a live stream on my channel, so for people who don't know, like Dino Defenders, I do live streams on my channel like once a week, where I live paint the backgrounds and characters and stuff. Like you can actually watch the making of it in sort of quote unquote real time, because I want to actually show people how much work goes into this. So that's why it takes a long time. And I was having this conversation, and I think like after Dino Defenders, and obviously Jurassic aside, because that if I keep getting work after Dominion, I don't know if we are, but if I keep getting Jurassic work after Dominion, then it obviously depends on what the work is, and if I can do it, then yeah, of course I'll be involved. I like Jurassic, but in terms of if that doesn't come along, like outside of that, I think Dino Defenders might be the last thing that I do that involves dinosaurs, because
really,
Yeah, because I've got other interests and other stories that I'd like to tell, and I've always looked at dinosaurs as a good. They're an easy thing to use to be like a force for characters to come up against. You know, they're very easy to go to. So I'm like, I want to go to some more interesting places, and it's funny because the story of Dino Defenders, where you begin it and where you end it, is basically gonna tell that story of my personal journey through that, because I only realized that halfway through that I was like, hang on, where we start Dino Defenders and where we end it is gonna basically be what the journey I've been on. So that'll be like a kind of final send off for now. Like, obviously there might be, if a story comes into my mind that I'm like, okay, that's too good not to do, and it involves dinosaurs, and I'm not going to pass it up. But there's some other more pressing things coming up, and like, for example, myself and Tim, we wrote a spec script for a movie that we just had. I had this idea for a story that we wanted to tell, and we wrote it together when we were working on Fallen Kingdom, and we've kept it on the shelf, because one day if we get enough funding, because we're working on so many different projects, if we get the funding for it one day, we want to produce and make this movie ourselves, like actually full blown get it made, and so we're just keeping that on the back burner. And there's no dinosaurs in it, but there does happen to be an insanely big lion in it, so it's like, it's like, it does involve like a big creature, but it's not a dinosaur, and its motives in the story are very different from dinosaurs, but
very cool.
Yeah,
so the future has a lot of storytelling.
Yeah, and there's also like family life. When you've got a family, you are living a story in some way. Cool. Talking to my wife about why I want to get into reading is because, like, with our daughter now here, it's like I want to like grow up with her and be there for her, and that's like living a story in itself. And by reading, I'm like expanding my knowledge so I can actually be as good a dad as possible. And like I said, it pales in comparison to like actually working on other projects when you've got like a kid. So it's like that's so enriching that I don't know. That's why I'm like, I want to be a storyteller, but it's kind of hard when you're actually living in a story. It's like, the stories come. I mean, as all good parents do, I could probably talk forever about the funny things that I think my daughter does, but
Well, that's incredible, though, man. I mean, like you said, family is the. What was actually? I want to make sure I got the quote right. What was the exact way that you said that about family and it being a story?
Well, when you have a family of your own, you're living a story.
That's right.
And it sounds stupid to say out loud because everyone's living a story all the time. But when you have a family, your kid, your child, you look at them and you're seeing their life unfold, and they're learning and they're exploring and they're so curious about the world that it's like you're watching this story play out, and you realize that your parents see you like that. They always see you as like that. Like when my daughter grows up and she's older, I'm always going to see her as the baby. I've been there from the beginning, so it's the same for us. And you realize where you fit in on the family tree and where it all fits in life. So it's just beautiful. So it's like, moving on into the future, stories about dinosaurs, I'm like, okay, that's, I feel like I've kind of had my cake and eaten it with that, and obviously I like a challenge, so if something comes up that involves dinosaurs, I'm like, okay, that's presenting a challenge that I want to really dive into. I won't shy away from it, but at the same time, I'm like, there's so much going on in life that I don't want to miss the actual pivotal and precious moments.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Family is extremely important to me too. I don't have any children, but to hear you speak so highly of the family dynamic is just so incredible to hear. And
that's
so
key.
I have a huge amount of respect for that. It's key. It
key
is.
to life. Yeah.
Well, I so appreciate that, Jack. And Jack, that's actually all the questions I have for today. But I can't tell you enough to how thankful I am to have you come on the channel today and to be able to share your story. A storyteller sharing his own story is very special. And so, but before we go here, is there any last words that you wanted to say to people listening, or just in general? Maybe even like just promoting Terrordome 3000.
Yeah, I mean, just go on YouTube, look up Terrordome 3000. My channel is, I would say, it's not necessarily for little children, because it's more like I still use. I can't remember who I said this to on YouTube the other day. I said I still use YouTube like YouTube is a brand new thing, so I don't really care too much about the like I don't have like a video. You know how like Clayton, or he plans videos each week and has them come out, and it's like that's why he's so successful, because he's tailored his channel so well to making bite-sized videos that come out every other day, and you subscribe to him because you want to know what he's got to say about something or what he's discovered out in the fandom. That's not my channel. My channel is you'll get a video when I feel like uploading one.
And you're gonna like it. I was kidding.
And you'll have no idea what I'm going to talk about next. And the only thing I vaguely have planned are my live streams each week, and even then it's like I'm painting backgrounds and we're talking about anything, like it's just silliness. Like one week I'll have like a video where I'm talking about why did the pyroclastic flow not kill Owen in Fallen Kingdom, and then like 4 days later I'll upload a home video I made when I was like 8 with a friend called like Curse of the Mummy Baby, where we're like running around my house with this toy chasing me, and then the next video would be me live streaming Alien Isolation. Like it's just whatever I'm interested in or whatever I think is interesting, I'll just upload it. But yeah, that's Terrordome. Or I'll be floating through space in my spaceship talking about a DVD or something, like, which I haven't done in a while because baby. But yeah, that's Terrordome. And I would say if you want to find more information on what myself and Tim are doing, we do have a website called chaostheorem.com, which is our company. It needs an update, and the website should be getting an update in the near future. But you can find links to other stuff there. And obviously go watch Dino Defenders, because that's the hot ticket right now on my channel. So
really cool. Yes, so make sure to check out Terrordome 3000 and check out what Jack is doing with everything. Also check out Chaos Theorem. All that stuff will be in the description down below as well. But then so make sure to check out Jack and support what he's doing, because he's just incredible. But then also, guys, before we go here, thank you so much for watching the video all the way through today. And if you feel like we deserve it here at Dino Park Media, please subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. We just want to continue to make content that is entertaining and fun for you. So the more support that we have for it, the more that we know it's resonating. So guys, thank you so much for joining us, and make sure before you go that you know you are loved.